Hello, I'm Halcylion. I have a project in the works titled The Rogue Trader, which is supposed to be an extensive guide to my favorite playstyle in Bannerlord. However, that project is so complex I don't even know where to begin. If it were a single video, it would probably be a couple hours long, so instead of putting all my energy into a single project that could take several months, let's start small. Today I'll share some of the scummiest tactics a rogue trader will use in the early game in order to get ahead of his competition, and we'll leave the rest of the stuff for other guides. Without further ado, let us begin. First of all, you're better off playing the campaign. Sandbox is fine for certain scenarios where it's you against the world, but in the campaign you're given additional family members to help you out throughout your journey. As you travel the continent of Calradia, you'll notice all sorts of people living their lives to the fullest. Peasants carrying their produce into city markets, bandits attacking them and stealing their stuff, honorable lords burning their homes to the ground, mercenaries switching sides more often than their socks, and merchant caravans profiting from all the chaos around them. All of these entities are shown on the overworld map as parties. Feeling lonely? You can have your own party as well. All you need to do is invite some people. There are many ways to do that, and I won't go over all of them today, but as a beginner merchant, all you need to do is visit every town and village in your path and recruit whoever wants to throw their life away in your service. If you are a fighter, these people would be your loyal soldiers, but since you're a trader, they're only here to carry your groceries, herd animals around, and act as a deterrent against bandit attacks. Sometimes you may run into a notable who's willing to leave 5 village idiots in your service with the expectation that you'll eventually turn them into actual soldiers. That's something to take advantage of if all the proper recruits were drafted by the nobility. Now that you've got some people with you, I want you to look at your party not as a warband, but as a caravan. And what does a caravan do? It transports goods from one city to another for a hefty profit. Therefore, your carry capacity is what determines how profitable your business venture will be. There are many things I could say about this, but in essence, the more people you have, the more your party can carry, because each of your men can manage a mule in addition to hauling a few things in their own bags. Be careful though. If you add more animals than your guys can handle, you'll be slowed down due to the herd penalty, and if you overburden your mules with groceries, well, that'll slow you down too. Additionally, you may also purchase one actual mount for each of your infantry units, and that will also add a bit of carry capacity and, more importantly, boost your party's traveling speed. Having cavalry is better than mounted infantry, but you can't afford that yet. To ensure a smooth operation, you simply need to balance your manpower, speed, and carry capacity. You fail on any of those fronts and you may witness your competition steal your profits or even get ambushed by brigands and lose all your stuff. Now that I've told you what every Bannerlord player has known since the game released 4 years ago, let's get on with the lesser known stuff. If you want trade tactics, I'm sure this tutorial right here is at least 70% accurate after all the updates that the game has received since the video was made. For now, I'll give you some of the info I never got to share before. For context, the only way you can increase your trade skill is by purchasing goods from a settlement and selling them in another settlement. As long as you make a profit, of course. The bigger the profit, the better the XP gain. But if you raid a caravan and then sell the loot, you will get no trading experience, even though technically you've claimed those items with a 0 gold investment and made infinite profit. Additionally, if you obtain trade goods as a quest reward and then sell them into a town for a huge price, that doesn't contribute to your trade experience either, so when you make a trade, think about what you want. Do you just need the money? Or do you also want to develop your skill? In my opinion, even though the skill is extremely important, it's better to prioritize money early on, even if you get it through some shady business dealings. Now that's what you're here for, but I really needed us to be on the same page before we got to the important part of this guide. I found that these tricks are mostly useful for the early game and they wane in importance as you advance in your career, but I've enjoyed my trading a lot more since I discovered them. Alright, Trick number 1. If you plan to buy in bulk, go to a village. A town may advertise their hogs as costing 30 dinars per head, but as you purchase them, the price will gradually increase as the supply decreases, and the average cost may rise. A village is too poor to hire an accountant, so the price you see stays constant for every hog you purchase, and the average price per pig may actually be lower than if you fell for the town's advertisement campaign. This is further amplified after you obtain this perk. Why buy pigs? Because my second trick involves slaughtering the poor animals and selling their body parts in another town. Early on, the village of Zestea sells hogs at 33 dinars, and the town of Zeonica buys them at 75. If I want to get a bit of XP, I do sell a few live animals until the price drops to 50, but after that, sacrificing them is far more profitable because the meat and hides bring me over twice the money. Want to further increase your profits and don't care about the experience at all? Then keep your eyes peeled for traveling villagers who are transporting their produce into the nearest market. If, as you go towards the village of Zestea, you notice peasants from that village heading towards the market of Poros, intercept them and ask about what they're selling. Now the hogs are even cheaper. In fact, the peasants give you the same price you would get by selling them into town, even though you're forced to buy everything they have on them. It's an all or nothing kind of deal, but usually you make a lot more money like this. And if you get an item that you really don't want to risk carrying to another region, just sell it in the nearest town for the exact price you paid for it. To give you some technical know-how, the Calradic tax code inadvertently imposes a certain trade penalty on caravan runners and villagers, which means that the town merchant will always pay less money for an item than what he'll sell it for. Always. No exceptions. When the peasants sell you their stuff, they assume you're affiliated with the city merchants and won't demand a higher price than what they know they'll obtain in town. They don't know how to read, alright? Don't judge them, just profit off of their lack of education and move on with your life. But did you know you can obtain those hogs for free without becoming a murderous raider? It all depends on your morals. If you don't care about your reputation, you can simply scam some folk. Perhaps one of the notables in Zestea needs a trustworthy fellow like yourself to deliver a herd to a faraway town. Accept the mission with a smile on your face, slaughter the pigs, then sell the meat and hides into Zeonica and get 10 times more money for a fraction of the effort. It's not the nicest thing to do to someone, but at least it won't provoke a war with the entire empire, as a robbery would. And if your conscience is gnawing at you, no worries. You may still deliver the hogs to their destination even after slaughtering the ones you got from the notable. You simply need to purchase them from somewhere else, preferably at an even cheaper price. We used to be able to find quests like these giving us 10 horses, and back then, that's how I obtained my first mounts, but nowadays, notables got wise to our scams, and even if you find this type of mission at a horse ranch, they'll give you some other animal to transport. Listen, I'm not paying 300 dinars for a Midlands palfrey, so if I couldn't get a reasonable price, I was willing to just scam someone. But there is a way to get a reasonable price, even in the early game when the economy is in shambles. It was foreshadowed in tip number 3. Wait for some villagers from a horse ranch to head out to the market, then buy their entire stock. Use some discernment though. Sometimes their entire stock includes war horses or even noble mounts, which can cost thousands of dinars. But if you happen to buy the more expensive mounts, don't fret. You can always sell them in town for nearly the same price you paid, or you can search for someone who really needs them. Sometimes a lord needs horses and is willing to pay top dollar for a swell guy like you to bring him what his heart desires. Usually it's about 3 war horses of his faction. For example, Imperial nobles always require Cantarion chargers. So if a village produces Cantarion chargers, wait for the residents to head to the market, purchase all their stuff, keep the basic horses for yourself, and when you gather the 3 war horses, take them to the lord or to his town, and you'll get paid about 6,000 dinars. That's 2,000 for one animal, which you could buy in town for 1,000, or for half that price from the traveling villagers. That's 1.5 1,000 dinars of pure profit. It won't contribute to your trade skill, but it's free money that you may use to make bigger investments. This combination of trade knowledge and questing is pretty much the best way to make a profit by selling horses nowadays. No more free rides from Askar to Rovald, unfortunately. In the same vein, there are quite a few missions that an enterprising merchant could take advantage of and line his pockets. The art of the trade allows you to bulk buy some wares for an even cheaper price, and if a village needs draught animals or tools or crafting materials, they'll be willing to exchange local produce that has far greater value than what you're bringing them. I once bought some tools for 60 dinars, took them to a village that desperately needed them, obtained a war horse valued at 400, then found a lord who needed 3 horses like the one I just got and offered to pay 6k for them. And that's how I turned 60 dinars into 2,000, making that the best trade deal I've ever struck in my career. This method is slow and situational, not something a master trader would waste his time with, but early on it's an amazing way to earn your keep and get some starter capital that you may invest into building a proper caravan and conduct larger trading operations. And while we're still on the subject of missions, I have to mention that mafia bosses you find in towns sometimes require you to supply them with illegal weaponry. So if you've recently defended yourself against looters and found some axes in their pockets, do not sell into the market. Hoard them, and whenever you find mobsters requiring tools for their trade, you'll score a nice payday. All quests are pretty good at earning you some early cash, and more than that, they can bump up your charm skill, which a rogue trader relies on in order to be proficient at politics. One final trick that I like to use to make money out of thin air is to find a smith companion who has the efficient charcoal maker perk. If he has the other one, you can simply respec him in the arena. Normally, you need 2 units of hardwood to make 1 unit of charcoal, and if you then sell the coal, you get paid the same amount of money that you would have gotten for the raw materials. But because your companion is efficient, he can craft 3 pieces of charcoal from the same amount of wood, so thanks to him, you've pretty much tripled the value of the timber you've bought. Pair it with tip number 3 and you're bound to make loads of money, probably. To give you a quick step-by-step, just go to Seonon, buy cheap wood, either from the villages, from traveling peasants, or directly from the market, turn it into coal efficiently, sell the coal in town, buy it back again, even if it costs a bit more, then visit towns that aren't usually supplied with wood. Marunath, Penkanok, Sargot, Ortizia, I don't care. Final step, sell the coal for a price greater than what you paid for it. With this method alone, I was able to make about 20,000 dinars and a lot of trade experience in just the first 20 days. Downside of this method is that smithing is boring because you need to regularly wait in town for your crafter's stamina to replenish. Blacksmithing is still the most overpowered method of making money, but also the most boring, to be honest, even though I appreciate that we have the ability to craft the strongest weaponry. I haven't decided yet if this is one of the core skills of the rogue trader, or if he'll just get a companion to do it. These 2 perks are pretty damn good, but I'm not sure if they justify the time investment. But anyway, that's about all the info I can share about my shady business dealings. I also wanted to give you a few tips and tricks for standard trading, which can also increase your skill level, but that would have doubled the runtime of this guide, and I don't want to make extremely long videos anymore. My analytics tell me it's a bad idea anyway. What I will do, however, is start streaming a very lengthy Bannerlord campaign with a new character, the Rogue Trader. As a matter of fact, I'm going live as soon as this video's premiere ends, so feel free to join me on the second channel for some unorthodox trading shenanigans. For those of you who missed the live stream, you may still watch the replay, and if you're not into that sort of content, no worries. More Bannerlord tutorials are coming on this channel. I still have a few of those planned before I move on to greener pastures. Anyway lads, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.